I've got the EQ running on this little 3000 radio. It seems to work out most of the time.
Oh yeah, it really sounds good. I wouldn't change a thing, man. It's just exactly, I mean, you're just perfectly natural, and you know, you couldn't ask for better audio.
Yeah, that's good. What kind of radio are you talking on?
This is a older Yaesu 990 with a homebrew condenser microphone, art preamp. It gives me phantom power for the condenser, and then into a third octave equalizer, and then into a up on the desktop a little remote control with a 6-position rotary switch to select the radio, and a toggle to talk button. Then RF wise into the 990, and out of the 990 to the SB220, and then out to an inverted V dipole.
That's a nice setup. Yeah, I had a FT990. I think I had back in maybe 97 or 8, something like that. Not sure. I sold it to a ham up in New Jersey, and he was getting it for a birthday present for his brother. I wish I'd never gotten rid of it.
Roger, it is one of the most stable radios I've ever seen. I mean, you set it on 72-480-0000, come back a week, and it will be right there.
Yeah, it's a good radio. I've had quite a few of them. I guess I've spent too much money, and had one or two I really liked. Had a problem one time with lightning. It blew up my my 1000. I had the 1000 Mark V. That was really a nice radio too, and had a few problems with it, but it got hit by lightning. So, c'est la vie for that one.
Well, now see, that was an act of God there. I think that's what the insurance company says.
Yeah, I ended up with another Yaesu. I think the one I got after that was that FT 2000. And I sold it, and I got, then I think I bought that FTDX 9000. I used it for about 3 or 4 years and sold it, and I was planning on upgrading to another big radio, but we found we needed to spend some money on the house and buy some new windows and doors and paint and new floors, and you know, you could buy a lot of radios for what we spent fixing up the old house here in Podunk Hollow.
Well, you temporarily lost your vision there and got distracted. You lost your, what do you call that? Shoot, I can't even think of it now, but you know, where you the things that are important to you, you know, you started working on the house instead of doing the things that are important, like new radios.
Yeah, you know, my whole radio career has been in and out. I got licensed with a novice back in '64, and I hung on to that for a while, and on CW. In CW, and then I lost interest in radio when I went to school. Then I went to Vietnam. I got out and didn't have my interest back in radios until I don't know, probably early '80s. Sort of got back into it, and then lost interest in it again, and then got back in it again, and then, you know, back and forth. But now that I'm over 70, sort of sticking with it and having some fun.
Well, that sounds like my story there, because not exactly, because I spent 50 years in commercial broadcasting, and then got out of that, and I always wanted to be amateur, and it took me 30 years after I retired from radio. Well, I ran a recording studio for the 30 years after that, commercials and stuff for radio, broadcast-oriented studio. And then finally I decided now's the time, and so I got my I started looking for my radio before I actually got my tech license, and I saw this guy on the internet that had this Drake TR4C for sale, and I just fell in love with that radio when the first time I saw it. I knew what every control did, and I just fell in love with it. And but he never responded to my inquiry, so I guess he sold it and didn't want to be bothered with anything else. But anyway, so I took my tech license and passed, and as I was leaving the room, I just turned at the door and asked if any of the engineers might know where I could find a Drake TR4C, and one of the examining engineers said, "Well, gosh, I'll make you a deal you can't refuse. I've got one I'll give to you." And he did, and we brought it up over a 3-day period. It had been in mothballs for 10 years. And we brought it up easy over a 3-day period, and that radio is still running today, and it furnished me my main radio for the first 4 years, Roger.
Well, that was a good radio. Look, I apologize, Jim, but I wrote down your call. I'm pretty sure I got it wrong. Give it to me one more time, and let me see if I can write it down correctly, please.
Alrighty, it's Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. And we are located just across the river from Louisville in New Albany, Indiana. Roger?
Yeah, I had a B on the end. B's and V's sort of run together in my mind. Have sometimes a little problem discerning those two letters. Yeah, that's nice. You live close to the river up there?
We're about 2.5 miles from the river. Of course, Louisville is right on the river bank, and so we're about 2.5 miles from the river and about 3 miles from downtown Louisville.
Yeah, have you ever come through going to Florida down 75? We're right on the edge of 75 in Macon, Georgia. I got some pictures of some of the city on my QRZ page. If you ever get a chance to look at that, just look me up. RADIOLAND W4Awg.
Roger, the wife is from Valdosta, so I know exactly where you are there. Yeah, I love Georgia, and we are. I also have a YouTube page called Jim Fergusson's Radio Story, where we celebrate 50 years of broadcasting, and we have over 500 segments about specials that we've done, and from documentaries to music specials. We've probably got about 50 or 60 full-length music concerts. Loretta Lynn and Charlie Pride and all the these were done in 73 and 74. So most of those artists were just at their prime at that time. But anyway, we've just recently started a new series called QSO. And QSO Vlog, which is all about amateur radio, and we probably have about 40 segments of that in the can. And matter of fact, we're recording this piece right now, which I'll probably put up tomorrow. And if you might be interested in what you sound like, go to YouTube and do a call letter search. Go to YouTube and search Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and that'll bring up the QSO segments. Roger?
Yeah, Roger, Jim. Yeah, I got that. I like YouTube. I like the music you just described. How do I find the music videos that you made?
Well, if you go to the QSO segments, then just go to the homepage on that. It says right there, Jim Fergusson's Radio Story, so just hit that, and that'll take you to the main page, Roger.
Oh, Roger, I'll do that. Yeah, I like to get on there. I listen to I like Tony Bennett and some of those videos. You know, I enjoy listening to music on the computer. Used to have a bunch of stereo and hi-fi equipment, but I find it just as easy to enjoy YouTube by getting the music playing on it.
Roger. Well, like I say, there's probably about actually 60 or so concerts on there, and we did a bunch of them for a major radio network, so I think you'd find it interesting. Plus, you know, it's divided in different categories. There's a lot of comedy stuff. We did a lot of vignette, ad-lib comedy stuff on the radio that you might find interesting also.
Okay, I'll sure look it up. Yeah, I really enjoy YouTube. I don't know what I'd do without it. I usually work on the my laptop down in the kitchen. I've got a you know, some pretty nice little Bose speakers hooked up to it, and it plays pretty good. But look, I'm gonna have to run out of here. Enjoyed meeting you and talking to you, and I hope to maybe get on here again with you. Usually, do you monitor 7248, or are you on other bands, or what do you do?
Oh, we just drift around on 40. I was hoping to get up with Brandon out of New Orleans, K5IA, but we haven't exactly been able to have coinciding schedules this morning or this afternoon.
Yeah, I used to talk to Ray and all those guys down there around Louisiana and New Orleans. Hadn't heard them in a while. I think they're up on 75 meters at night. But I've been having a little trouble with my 75-meter part of the band on my antenna I've got up right now. I think I've got pretty much the bugs worked out of it. I'm running a little homemade off-center fed dipole with a 4-to-1 balun on it from Palomar Engineers, and I just installed a choke right at the input to the balun, and that seemed to help my 75 meters out a little bit. 40 is pretty flat, but 75 was giving me a pretty high SWR until I put that inline choke on it. So maybe I'll be able to get on 75 tonight or sometime shortly here. I'm going to turn it loose to you. This will be my last QSO part here. Enjoyed meeting you, and I'll let you go on and carry on there. I'm going to have to go take care of a couple of things. And my name is MJ. You didn't ask, but I'll tell you anyway. It's MJ. And I have some YouTube videos on there. They're mostly for the business that we run here, but something to do with the fire departments and stuff like that. And then, you know, I've made a few family things and put those on there just for remembrances and stuff like that. They're not supposed to be viewed by the masses. But it's really been nice having a nice QSO with you, Jim. And I'll be clear with you when and on your final. Talk to you a little bit later. This is MJ in Macon, Georgia, W4Awg. Stand by.
Roger there, MJ. Good QSO with you, sir, and you have a real good day, and your signal has been consistently up and sounding beautiful, and your audio's right there with the signal. So threes to you. Your antenna's working great, radio's working great. Catch you later. This is KC9VKV.